Welcome to today's next level session here at Inside Real Estate. I have a little bit of kind of a review today of the real estate growth system flow. I don't think we've talked about this in a little while, so I might spend maybe 10 or 15 minutes going through this and just see where the session takes us from there. The replay of this will be instantly available at insiderealestate.com/webinars, because that's where we tend to post these. They're also, of course, in the next level members area, alongside a lot of other fun stuff that you can find in there. I actually made yesterday's session private and members only, the recording of that, only because I don't really want to share with too many people. I don't want the seller lead landing page survey reveal form thing we were doing. I don't want it to be copied too much. We got one lead for $15 on that, for those of you who were here yesterday, and it was a good lead. It was a, perhaps I should show you that. But it was very cool because it was a maybe if I get the right price, I'll sell my house. You know, we got that intelligence from the person as they opted in, which is always very exciting to see on a seller lead. So I'll just show you the lead. Hopefully nobody in my market jumps on this and tries to steal it, because you're going to see the contact info. Let's see here. Free home value report. Edit. This is very rudimentary here. Here we go. But yeah, it was a maybe if I can get the right price. The property's in pretty good condition. Very cool. We got the email and everything else, and their contact info is not here. It's kind of in the form submission. And just a recap, just a reminder for everybody who's wondering, that was this page right here. I'm not going to show the whole thing again because I don't want it too far out of the bag, and also I don't want people copying it if it's not going to work as well. So if you're a member, you can access that inside. Feel free to drop any questions or comments you have, as always, in the chat box. And then I'm going to just kind of jump right in and talk about this kvCORE based real estate growth system thing that you hear me talk about a lot. There is a whole section inside of the next level members area that goes into this at length. But this is basically my interpretation of building a modern internet marketing funnel, like something Russell Brunson, would talk about, or Ryan Deiss. I don't know if you guys know these names, but these are, some internet marketing gurus out there. Russell Brunson created ClickFunnels. Ryan Deiss has been around forever, and these guys talk about internet marketing funnels. Dan Kennedy's a good one. Dan Kennedy would say, well, there's no such thing as I don't know what he calls it, web marketing. It's just marketing. It's a process that every business can follow. So we probably should give Dan Kennedy the credit for this. And I would recommend everybody read as many of Dan Kennedy's books as you can. But this is me translating all of that stuff and applying it to real estate and kvCORE. So I'm going to drop in the chat this PDF that was kind of the basis of the webinar that I did about a year ago, the last time we did a webinar on this. And I'm just going to kind of walk through it loosely here. And maybe in the next few weeks, I'll do a wider webinar for the whole audience that runs through this again. But this is, you don't have to follow this to a T, but if you do, it works. So like, if you want something that'll work and make kvCORE make you money, promise this flow works. So let's start up at the top here, and I'm just going to go right to the premise. And the premise is you might never be able to fully automate the belly-to-belly stuff that gets commissions checks flowing into your mailbox, because you're always going to have to go show houses or do a listing, appointment, stuff like that. But you can create a system that gets a consistent flow of people talking to you about real estate. And I think when we shift our attitude about leads that we're generating and about kvCORE in general, or any systems that we use, and say, hey, what is this thing really supposed to do for me? And in my opinion, the best thing that kvCORE can do for you is get people talking to you about real estate. What happens from there is up to you and your skills as a salesperson. You might need to hire a coach and do scripting and all that other stuff. But we're concerned I'm concerned as a guy who teaches how to use this technology. I want the system to reliably generate conversations with people with you that can lead to closings. And I'm confident that kvCORE does a very good job of that. So a real estate growth system is a set of components that work together to get people talking about buying and selling real estate. So two activity types that go into your growth system. I'm going to kind of walk through these two phases, we might call it. So on the one hand, you have the effort that goes into generating the leads, just getting the contact info into your kvCORE database, right? And I have some bullet points here. We're going to run through each of these in a minute. And then you have the activities that will cause conversations. And a lot of this stuff is automated. kvCORE can do it for you. So let's talk about generating leads. And I think my opinion is that when you think about generating leads, the first step is to niche down and try to choose either a customer avatar or customer type or property type, or maybe a mix of both. So, who is the target of your lead generation campaign, basically, and what are you offering? And there's a note here. The objection I get to this whenever I bring it up, and I'm like, "What's your niche, biche?" That's my favorite term, right? What's your niche, biche? Is people go, "Well, I don't want to just work with fixer uppers, like that's not what I don't want, And it's not that. The idea here is that you choose a focus. It doesn't mean you're excluding other business. It's just giving your lead generation a focus, and you're welcome to do all kinds of other transactions, and you will naturally do all kinds of other transactions if you want to, because by talking to people about one topic, it naturally leads into others. So if a guy opts in for a list of foreclosures for $30,000, I've had this happen to me. There's nothing that says he doesn't tomorrow want to go look at $1 million houses with you, because he's in that price range. He just happens to also be interested in fixer uppers. So some example customer and property types right here, just to maybe, and we've done webinars just on this topic alone, but first time buyers, move up buyers, investors, either first time or seasons, relocating, downsizing, different types of sellers, absentee sellers, farm, expired FSBOs, and then you have recruiting, right? So those would be kind of the types of buyers. And I'm sure I missed as many as I put here. And then property types, basically anything that you can segment and filter from your IDX feed in your MLS is fair game here, right? So starter homes, you always hear me talk about these homes with acreage, waterfront golf course, and so on. So, you think about it and say, hey, I really like, think about the deals you've done in the past that you kind of enjoyed. They were kind of just fun to do. Like I've done a few land deals, and man, pretty sweet. Usually it's cash. It's a cash deal. Might be lower end in a lot of cases. You're selling $40,000 lots if you're in an urban area, or 100,000 or whatever. But man, if I could do 5 of those a month, it'd be awesome. Like, it's just low stress. Every now and then there's an environmental thing I got to deal with land, but I can become an expert in that. And there's not a lot of competition. There's not a lot of agents doing this in my market, so I'm going to be the land guy now, right? So think through these and think about one that you would really be excited about waking up in the morning and talking about with people. Maybe you love new construction, and you think that maybe once a week going and visiting a new construction project and taking a video and interacting with builders and the salespeople, that might be a lot of fun, right? And you decide to do new construction. So think about that niche right there. Okay, how are we doing so far, guys? I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking. I don't see a lot of comments. I see Rich. I will definitely get to your question, but is this cool to just kind of run through this? I know it might be basics for a lot of you guys, and I'd be very curious to hear what your niche is. We saw Raphael, I think it was you yesterday, right? Talking about, you have a niche around lease purchase and the, I forget the name of that program, but lease purchase and home partners. Yeah. Okay, cool. So next step, once we've identified, what the niche focus is going to be, we're going to create our lead generation offer. And you'll hear lead magnet is a term that you'll hear a lot of internet marketing gurus talk about. It's probably the best thing. Lead magnet. What else do they talk about? I don't know. Something cool, stuff like that. So the easiest one to create for us using kvCORE squeezes is just a list of properties, but a niche down list. So homes in York County with 3+ acres of land, new construction priced under 500K. Thinking about downsizing, here's a list of homes with a master bedroom on the first floor, that kind of stuff. So that's probably the easiest, lowest hanging fruit, because you don't need to really create a lot of content. You just go build a squeeze link. Another thing you do is listing info. So if you want to just focus on advertising listings that are in your niche. So you could say featured new construction listing today, and then you might have people opt in to get information about that listing. More complicated, but also probably more likely to generate a higher quality lead, is to go create videos and free reports, kind of like the one you're looking at here that I created, right? This is really just Google Slides that I downloaded and turned into a PDF. We saw Raphael yesterday. He had a video ask flow that talked about home partners, kind of walk people through. And you might call that a little bit of a training, right? But free report shows how to buy your first fixer upper and finance your repair costs, which is as little money down as possible. So you guys have all seen these advertised on the web, right? You see Facebook ads all the time. Some guys trying to sell you trading information or how to invest in real estate. That's what you're looking at. You're looking at somebody's lead generation offer. And then the mega right here, free reports or videos are great, but if you really want high quality, try to get somebody sitting and listening to you talk for 50 minutes like I'm doing with you right now on a webinar. So if you can do that, that's actually going to generate people live who will learn to know, like, and trust you and want to work with you on the spot. So webinars and events. So step by step, how to acquire your first cash flowing income property in Pinellas County and manage it with as little stress as possible, right? Or just invite people to open houses where they can come meet you in person. Open houses are pretty straightforward, right? You just fire up a landing page, maybe advertise in the open house and have people pre-register online. Okay, so next you're going to create that lead capture point. I would probably rename this now, looking at a year later, but where are they going to go where you're going to capture the contact info? And 2 days ago, we did an in-depth webinar about landing pages, right? Let's build some landing pages. So a landing page would be a good place to start, or you can build a squeeze link. But let's see if I still have these live here. So yeah, here's my 727 page. That's an example where you're just going to build a landing page using kvCORE that offers that thing. So you guys have seen these examples a lot. You can also use our text codes, right? So you can go into kvCORE and build a text capture code. Maybe I'll show that real quick. I don't like to talk about things and not show an example just in case we have people here who are new to the system. So I'll try to show you examples as I go through all these. Just get me logged in here. So if you know, as you probably know, you can go to call and text capture under lead engine here. And you can build codes that collect info. So I have my home value report code that I can maybe advertise on a billboard, right? Text home value report to 727-592-5415 to get a free report. Shows what your buyer might pay for your house in today's crazy market, right? And then they text, and then you can set a response to that report, an automated response, and give whatever the resource is. So you could have people text in to get that free report about buying their first investment property. It would work the same way. You would reply and say, hey, thanks for requesting the free report. Here's the link to it. So, Alistair, I would definitely, that's just going to have to be a support chat. And you can use support at insiderealestate.com if you're having trouble logging in. Okay, I'll get back to everybody's questions. I'm going to roll through this because this could turn into a long one if I don't stay focused. I think you guys get the gist there. Though you need to use landing pages, a squeeze link, kvCORE capture, a capture code. You can also just do straight up webinars. We've done a few webinars about this where you could just use a Zoom link, like the one you guys used to sign up for this, and offer like a first-time homebuyer seminar. You would use the Zoom link, but then you would push those leads, those registrants in Zoom, into kvCORE using Zapier.com. A little more advanced. If you search the YouTube channel for Inside Real Estate, it's actually a tip. I'm gonna see a squirrel here for a second. But if you come to the main YouTube channel for Inside Real Estate and you go to this search box right here, you can type in stuff and you'll get all the content around that stuff. So I did a whole 2 webinars about building a webinar funnel. It's a little meta, right? I'll drop it to everybody watching live. But if you search webinar in there, and that was kind of cool. Like if you want to do a first-time home buyer, first-time investor, how to sell your house seminar, I kind of walked through how to set that all up in 2 parts right there. So check that out. And also definitely keep this link as well. You can see at the very end, it says query equals webinar, you can just change the word webinar for anything you want to search for in our archive of videos. It's a pretty big archive at this point. So, okay, let's continue on. So now that we've got our traffic capture point built, we're going to drive traffic to it. And we spend a lot of time on these sessions talking about different ways to drive traffic. Maybe I focus a little bit too much on Google and Facebook. I'll admit to that. And maybe it's time for us to veer into some of these other channels here soon. So I promise to do that. But the lowest hanging fruit right now is definitely going to be Google and Facebook. So you can go run a Google pay-per-click ad. You can go run a Facebook ad. And we cover this at some length in the Next Level Members area, these kind of how to do these things. You can also send postcards and note cards and letters, right? Direct mail. You can organically social post, just post to your LinkedIn and Facebook every day. Newspaper and print is not dead, in my opinion, especially with capture codes. Just a little tip, it kind of drives me nuts when I'm at the diner with my son. We go a lot of weekends, and there's like the mat, right? Like the you're sitting and waiting for your food, and there's advertisements on that piece of paper, the like placemat, or in the local paper even, and people will be advertising listings, and it'll just be like call for details. It'll be like the front of the house. where you could just advertise in the newspaper 5 pictures of your open houses for that weekend, and below each one have text MLS code, whatever the MLS is, to number, to learn the price and see more pictures. And you think somebody who's bored sitting at the at the restaurant, they might just do that, right? And then you're collecting a phone number lead. So newspaper and print. I have Craigslist on here still. I know Craigslist might be old school at this point, but it's still, people are still searching there. Don't forget about Craigslist and Facebook. You have Facebook Marketplace, billboards, TV ads, and of course our favorite. You gotta go, bobblehead dolls from Sanzo Specialties, business card holders. Sanzo. I actually have like 3 of them right outside my window that my wife thought the box was garbage. It's like sitting outside. I gotta go get that. But these bobblehead business card holders, I used to put these at pizza shops with, I think I literally had my phone number. Like they had to call me for a list of foreclosures, or maybe I forget. It was like 2008. But you know, you pop your picture in there. They were so cheesy. But the point is, if you put on the back of the business card your call to action, that's an example of a way to drive traffic. So don't sit here and go nuts and think that you need to do all of these. The idea here is to pick one niche, make one traffic point, pick one traffic channel, one capture point, pick one traffic channel, and optimize that. And then as you get it working, you can then layer in more. Right. So if you get things working on Google, go ahead and add in Facebook or add in a LinkedIn ad, you know, maybe try a different channel. But one thing I see people do is it's easy to go in 13 different directions. Like, okay, I'm going to do new construction and investors and you know what I mean? And you do 5 different and nothing works great. So try to focus for a month or so and get one working really, really well. And for anybody, you know, who's a next level member or not, if you ever email me or contact, say, hey, look, I did what you said. I picked a niche. I built the landing page, driving traffic, and it's not working. I promise I will help. Right? I will take a look and we'll get it working. So feel free and open to do that as you get things working. Okay. So now that's the full picture. If you do everything we talked about so far, you'll get leads flowing into kvCORE. And I almost forgot to mention, I wish I could edit this PDF on the fly. It is totally acceptable if you want to only use something like Property Boost, some of our internal like push button options to get leads flowing in, or you want to use Realtor.com or Zillow or ZBuyer, whatever you want to get leads in. You can skip a lot of this. If you already have, if you have something you just drop a little money for and you get leads flowing in automatically, that's acceptable too, right? And you can kind of skip all this, you have the automated source of leads coming in, and then you can start to focus on the causing conversations aspect of all this. And this is kind of our phase 2. So I'm going to take a breath here for a minute, take a drink of water. Yummy, yummy. I'm going to look at your questions and then we'll get to phase 2 here. So let's see some questions. I'll get to Rich's toward the end. Okay, so we don't have much. Thomas is trying to build a video funnel around what you should look for in a great real estate agent. That's cool, Thomas. Just be careful because I don't know that a lot of people would value that information, and it might come across as like, oh, this guy's just trying to sell himself, right? So it could definitely work. So you could do 3. I would go with pain and fear versus attracting to you, meaning 3 things to avoid, 3 signs that you're a real estate agent. You got to be careful of code of ethics here, I guess, but 3 signs that you might not be working with the right real estate agent, or 3 things gotchas, you know, when it comes to picking a real estate agent. That might be good. If you're like, you know, 3 awesome traits of a real estate agent, and you got your picture on the landing page and stuff, you know, they can kind of smell it coming. That would be my only thought on that. But yeah, that's great. That could work for sure. You know, another thing that could work is, you know, why not using a realtor to sell your house could cost you $10,000 or more, which is probably true in almost every case, right? So 5 reasons why trying to sell your house will probably cost you more than a commission would, you know, in excess of 5 figures. And then you could list that out to try to attract FSBOs. Okay. So I'll drop the PDF again, Arna, for you. And then we'll get to our second phase here in our growth system build. So leads are coming in. And now we need to cause conversations with them. And this is a big pain point for a lot of people. It's like, hey, I'm getting these leads. What's the average conversion rate? That's what everybody asks. What should I expect? And the truth is, the conversion rates go up if you do a lot of the stuff here, both automated and not automated. But if you're not doing anything, then your conversion rates are going to be pretty low, because you're just counting on, the very few percent of people who opt into an online ad and who are desperate to see, buy or sell a house this weekend working with you. So what you're gonna do is use a few tools inside of kvCORE, and we'll start with automated search alerts. So if I click on the link in the PDF, it'll take me straight there, but then it'll mess me up. I want to go back to my point, but you can go into marketing, all marketing, and you can set up search alerts that are configured whenever somebody opts in with that hashtag. Don't know why it logged me out. Here we go. Search alerts, and then learn more right here. And you can say, hey, anytime my landing page where I've assigned the hashtag deals. So remember from the other day, guys, when you build a landing page, you assign a hashtag to that page. And anytime somebody opts in, they have the hashtag. So anytime somebody with deals comes in, and I want to send them all the properties in Pinellas County that are reduced foreclosures or short sales. And I want to do that daily frequency. And if you set that up for each growth system that you build, you're kind of, it's a nice insurance plan. So even if you don't have a drip campaign set up, if you don't ever send any manual unique content, at least they're going to get emails from you with property listings related to the thing they opted in for. And I believe that this is even more powerful than worrying about smart campaigns and creating drip campaigns. So the first step, any lead source you have coming in, realtor.com, Zillow, Property Boost, make sure you have some form of auto alert triggering. And you do that again under the marketing right here. And how does this generate conversations? Well, we all have probably experienced this, as if people are on your alerts, every now and then you get an email or a text or something, and they're like, hey, I have a question about XYZ property. Or you'll get, hey, you've been sending me these listings and they're like way too expensive. Can you lower the price range? Or I only need 2 or 3 bedrooms. So these are conversation starters, because as people get the emails, they're going to ask you to adjust the criteria. Another cool thing about setting up alerts is that after a while, your dashboard, when you come into kvCORE, will start to look like this, and you'll be able to see who's coming back to your site every day. You'll see the stream. And I don't have a ton of leads in here, maybe 100, maybe 200, but you can see, because most of them get alerts, that there are people here actively visiting my site. And now I have the ability to go and shoot them an email or a call about listings right there. So Mark, I will get that for you. Yep, for sure. And then, so automated property alerts, definitely. And if you don't have people set up for automated property alerts, even if they're past sellers or people like your grandma or whatever, cousin who never opted in as a real estate lead, but they're kind of in your sphere, set them up with alerts. Send them something interesting. Say, hey cousin Jimmy, I'm going to set you up to get all the $1 million homes, just because it's a lot of fun. You're going to email from me once a week, and you're going to get every $1 million listing in Philly. It'll be fun. Is that cool if I send it to you? And he'll be like, sure, why not? And you can just tell him, like, yeah, this way you'll remember that I sell real estate. You won't go list your house with somebody else. You can have a laugh over it, right? So set anybody and everybody up for alerts, and you can use the automated system to do that. Next, once we've got automated alerts going, then we can go ahead and create one of our conversation starting smart campaigns. And in this PDF, I actually linked to a webinar that covered that topic at length. But as a refresher, I know I'm a broken record with this. We've talked about this a lot lately. But this is basically a quick little smart campaign that focuses on an auto text and maybe a few short texts and emails, that the only goal is to just get people showing they have a pulse and interacting with you. They're either going to say, no, leave me alone, not interested, or they're going to start to engage with you. So our waterfront homes conversation starter that we run here in St. Pete looks like this. It's got an initial text. Hi, thanks for stopping by and looking at waterfront properties website a few minutes ago. Do you already live in Pinellas County, or are you thinking about a home, or a move, or second home here? This gets roughly 30% response, anywhere from 28 to 32%. I look at the numbers all the time, but 1 in 3 or little under 1 in 3 people actually reply in some form to this. And that's powerful. Again, we're trying to create conversations. And then there are a few other touches that happen throughout the course of this campaign. For those of you who are wondering, if you go to the kvCORE library, you can actually pull in a basic kind of generic version. If you type conversation, it should be in the library. So conversation starter for buyer leads will be in there. And you can adjust that, to your liking, or just use that. So Patricia, I'll drop the PDF again. It's also in the next level members area, but here's the PDF that I'm working with, guys. And if you're watching the replay on YouTube, I'll get it in the description of the YouTube video for everybody after. Okay, so set up a conversation starting campaign. So these two things alone should, let's think with a longer time frame. Let's think over a 6 to 12 month time frame, right? And everything we do in real estate, we know, like, the results always come later, like almost a year later. And top producers know this, right? Everything I'm doing now, I'm not going to get my money back for a long time, but if I keep doing it, it's going to return. It's going to yield a return. So if you do just these two things, I think it's fair to say, let's be really conservative. Can you get 1 in 100 leads closed and working with you and closed? So if 30% are talking to you, can you get 1 in, what would it be? 1 in 3 of those to actually transact with you, or send you somebody a referral who transacts with you? And I'd argue yes, very easily. And your number should be higher over time. If you have skill talking to people and you're cool and all that other stuff, and you're a market expert. And if it's a niche that you really know that they're coming in on, if you're the guy in town doing fixer uppers and you're the only game in town who's, you know the market like the back of your head, it should be very easy to convert. So a 1% conversion rate in real estate, if you're spending $10 a lead, that means you're spending $1,000 to generate a transaction, which should be acceptable for most people, right? With our average size. So those two things, set those up in kvCORE. Next, I'm going to go into a few things that are a little bit over and above, but will help increase those conversions. So the first one is retargeting. So retargeting is where somebody visits your website and then they leave and you follow them around. We've all experienced this. We've gone to Amazon, we've gone to Lowe's or Home Depot. All the big boys do this, right? You go to the site and then there's banner ads following you. It feels like all over the web. So if you do this, what it does is it helps people trust you. Like they think in their mind, like, wow, this guy is everywhere. This girl, everywhere I turn, there they are. They must have a huge marketing budget. And the truth might be that you're only spending about 20 to 50 bucks a month to retarget 20 people who've come in as your leads. Actually, to retarget 20 people will cost far less than 20 bucks a month, but you're not spending a lot. So how this works, we talk about this in next level, but basically you're going to drop some pixels from Facebook or Google, from other channels. That technology is going to know that person visited your website, and then you're going to set up ads that target that audience. So one example, my friend Kylie here, she did a thank you video. Hey, just straight up, thanks for visiting my website. If you ever need me, here's my cell number. That's the simplest thing you can do. And any other kind is a Google display banner that you can just show your face, show your company, and have that show and follow people around. Now, I'm not going to go too deep on this today because this is a webinar on its own, but the tutorials are in next level here about how to specifically set these kinds of things up. Just know that doing this, once you have the funnel working and you're starting to get conversations from this stuff above, everything we've done above, this makes sense to start to layer this in. This is a little bit next level stuff, you might say. And then finally, what's going to separate the ladies from the women and the men from the boys, right, is this. And that is creating and sending something cool once a week. And I talk a lot about this. So if you can not only rely on just generic automated stuff, but you can go and do a video tour of a property or write a long email about a deal of the week and explain why it's a deal, do a live webinar or a live stream, right? Do an interview with a local business owner, create a new free report. And if you can email this all out and also show this content maybe via your retargeting ads, this will drastically help increase the conversions you get. So we've done content around this from time to time. Again, on the webinars in our library, you'll see a number of topics around this, and we also have content around it in the members area. And now I think about it, I probably should be doing more of that because it is that critical. But the easiest thing to do, just do a property of the week or a deal of the week to keep it simple. St. Pete, Florida, real estate listing of the week, pick an awesome listing, talk about it. That's not too hard to do. So that's kind of it. That's all that goes into it. If you just run through these slides and you set up each of these things one at a time in a specific niche, and if you stick with it for at least say 2-3 months, I mean, it should only take you a couple of weeks to actually get leads flowing. Maybe a lot of people can probably get leads flowing in a day or two, depending on how tech savvy you are. But get to the point where you actually have leads coming in and getting the automated property alerts and the smart campaign working, and stick with it for a while and you'll be happy with the results. So let's see. So I'm going to look at some questions. Is the YouTube link above for the replay? So the replay of this will be on our YouTube channel at insiderealestate.com/webinars. I did do this in webinar format about a year ago. I'm looking to see if I have the link here. So let's just go back. The webinar is definitely in the next level members area, but if you search growth, here we go. Here's a webinar similar to what you guys just watched, but maybe I go a little more in depth if that's what you're asking. So Josh is asking if I'm a realtor myself. Yes, since 1999. I'm not very active now because of my duties here and with other projects, but the license is active. I just paid the dues again. Felt it. Patricia's saying my broker provides kvCORE. Yeah, so Patricia's just sharing. Yeah, that makes sense. So she has 2 buyers that somebody at your office didn't do anything except log them in from the open house, the kvCORE open house app. I kind of forgot to include that, guys. But one strategy, you could say, hey, I'm only going to work open houses. Open houses are my niche. And you're just going to do as many open houses as you can. You're going to use the app to get people into kvCORE. That's a cool niche. And then they surfaced ready to buy 6 months later. So that's a great story. And that can happen, especially if you set up the automated property alerts, because you might not realize it, but these people are getting an email from you every day consistently. And they're opening the email and they just really appreciate what you're doing, but you have no idea who they are. And then one day they just call you out of the blue and they're like, Patricia, I'm ready to go. What's up? Like, let's go see some houses. And it can work like that sometimes. Patricia's asking, what would it cost to run an ad for a custom audience of 2,000 people? So the cost is whatever you set it to, when you run your ad in Facebook. So we did a webinar, it's in the next level, but it's called Audiences Before Leads, that talks about, it's about a year old. I need to update that one probably. But it kind of talks about the flow. You could have a list of 5 people who are on your retargeting audience, and you could spend a couple of pennies a day and retarget a bunch of people. So it doesn't need to be a lot. So if you have a list of 2,000, my guess would be on Facebook, probably 1,000 of them would match. And maybe if you spent $5 a day, you could be pretty sure that a lot of them would see your ad. But I don't have a great answer to that. It's very affordable. That's all I can say. And I'm actually, come to think of it, I've been a little lax here. I don't have one set up currently. I think I paused it for Forever Florida, but I had, here, I'll just show you an example. So we have our $20 a day waterfront homes ad that I talk about all the time. Did $1.69 a lead, 12 leads yesterday. That's awesome. But had a retargeting ad running for that for a while. Here it is, waterfront retargeting. Where'd it go? Search retargeting. I just want to show you some of the costs associated with that particular campaign. Oh, I see. I'm in the wrong. Here we go. So I'll actually turn that back on. And then if I look, the reason I turned it off is it's probably getting stale. That can happen. So we'll go maximum. So that, it costs us 54 cents to get people who looked at the initial lead form to come back, and we were able to get 2,000 people to come back, 1,898 to come back. But that was running, maybe that's not answering your question in a great way, but that was probably costing us per view. Like if we're thinking about the retargeting ad and somebody seeing it, whether or not they take action on it, was costing us less than a penny to do that, to show them the ad on Facebook. So yeah, they're created with your Facebook business page, but you run the ad on Facebook. So you create a custom audience. I'll do this next week. We'll do a retargeting refresher, but I did drop a full webinar about how to do it right above the last YouTube link I dropped. But you basically create audiences. You have to drop a pixel on your website first, your kvCORE site, and then you can build audiences based on the actions they're taking on your website. And then you go run a Facebook ad targeting that audience. But it all happens through the Facebook dashboard, and the ad is connected to your Facebook business page. So you can see I have some audiences like visited my sell page, people who visited golf course listings. Here's our waterfront audience right there. And these numbers aren't accurate. Maybe it is. It says below 1,000 for the waterfront audience, but I think it's bigger than that. So dropping a pixel, Facebook gives you, again, it's in that webinar above. It's like a whole webinar, but Facebook, there's something called the Facebook Pixel, which basically tracks everything that happens on your website. So Facebook will give you a pixel, and then you'll put it into kvCORE. So for those of you not kind of familiar with that, definitely watch the Audiences Before Leads webinar that's above. And just keep in mind, it was a year ago. Facebook changes the platform a lot. So things might not be in the same spot, but the overall methodology will be the same. You just have to find where things are in Facebook, maybe. And yes, Katharina, you can set a limit to spend per ad. Absolutely. Yeah, you have total control over that. So you might say, hey, I only want to spend $2 a day for this retargeting campaign. Or you can set a lifetime budget, like, hey, I'm going to do a $100 test. And I'm going to run it for 5 days, and I'll spend 20 a day. Josh, $1 million. Almost not kidding. I'm not in that business. If you go to if you go to the marketplace, we're scrambling right now. We launched this service right here under coaching, done for you success services. The problem is we became overwhelmed. So right now we're trying to staff this up. There's a waiting list currently, but we are soon, you can join the waiting list here, but we do have kind of a division at Inside Real Estate that is able to do this kind of stuff for you. But go into the group, guys, all of the how-to manuals for the most part exist. And I've created a lot of them with these links that I'm dropping you. Give it a shot, try it out. But if not, go into the Facebook group, right? InsideRealEstate.com/Facebook group, and just be like, yo, I want to set up a retargeting campaign. Can somebody help me? And you're going to kind of get inundated. Just be careful, make sure that they've worked with people before, with kvCORE. They sound like they know what they're doing, but there are service providers out there who can do this stuff for you. The other option, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it, is that you can take advantage of some of our marketplace add-ons around this stuff. So our Facebook AI advertising retargeting has an retargeting component in it. And then Google display retargeting right here. For $100 a month, that'll get a Google display ad running for you. It includes the setup of it all. And then we just run the ads for you, set a budget and run it for you. So that's probably the easy button around retargeting, Google display branded. John's asking that retirement conversation opener. I don't know if I have that one. I can write one on the fly. The format for conversation starters, I had one for waterfront that I'm doing, but the format, kind of the cheat code, let's bring it up, is hi, thanks for doing the thing you just did. Just curious, quick question. Ask question, your name. Something like this. This will make sense in a minute. So if we write one for, let's write one for retirement. So if somebody opted in, the scenario here is they opted in for a list of smaller homes because they're downsizing. Hi, thanks for accessing the let's say bedroom on main floor property list just now. Just curious, do you already live in Tampa, or are you thinking about moving here? Something like that, Brian. So what this does is, they know who you are and why you're texting, right? And then this is the conversation starter. Ask a question. And then if you don't get responses to this, change this part. Play with this part until you're happy. You're getting at least like 1 in 5 people to reply. Most people, the majority will always blow you off. That they're like, I don't want to talk to a salesperson. Nothing. I mean, maybe you can get over 50%. If you do, please share your script with me. I haven't been able to do it yet. But if you can get into 20% range, even 10%, there's money in those hills. So hopefully that helps, John. But that's our conversation. That's a good text to send for any lead. So if it's more generic, like it's realtor.com, thanks for looking at Tampa listings on our site just now. And you can almost use, the same code. Just curious, do you already live in Tampa, or just curious? Just curious. Are you looking for something to live in, or just for an investment? So you're giving them an either or, and you're making it easy for them to reply back. You could also do this. I haven't done this, but this might work. Do you have time for a quick call right now? I mean, if you really want to cut to the chase and see if, maybe you get less responses, but maybe 1 in 10 or 20 says yes. Well, there you go, or bingo, right? You're talking to them about real estate. John's question, I'm sorry, I'm assuming that you guys can all see the chats, but I think John chatted that to just me. So sorry about that, guys. John was asking, he wanted to see the retirement conversation opener. I assumed he wanted the script that I was using for the conversation starter in the campaign. So all of this, any script is going to be like what I just showed you. When you first get a lead, try to send an auto text that does this thing. And hi, thanks, acknowledge what they just did, and then ask a question. Just curious is a good kind of segue into that, however you would say it in your own tone. Arna is saying, I noticed on your page that most of your leads have phone numbers. Are you requiring them? That's because most of my leads come from Facebook lead forms, and lead forms, you always get the phone number that Facebook has on file. Here, let me show you guys. Oops, apologies again for those of you who have seen this 100 times, but I want to show you the waterfront niche growth system here again. And you can cut off if you've seen me show this so many times, but I'll show the full picture of what we're doing here. But we're going to start from the back. And the funny thing is, I haven't even, it's been a year. I should probably make a new one. It's just, this one's working fine, and Delia hasn't asked me to yet, but I guess I should make another one. The waterfront just seems to capture the right people. We tried a few in the beginning, and the conversations that are generated off this are great. So let's look first at all the new texts we're getting at the office here. Right, so 3 hours ago, looking for a second home somewhere, right? Second home, but not immediately. Just looking. We're on a vacation. I've been looking, right? People, this is all within the last day or two. And then the source of the leads is our waterfront campaign. So if I go to Smart CRM, most of these came from waterfront. So if I do a hashtag waterfront, just know you guys can always search a specific lead source by doing that. A hashtag right there. And all of these have the phone numbers because the ad inside of Facebook, let me show you that. Bear with me, I'll get to it. It's a lead form, and this is what Property Boost and our Facebook ad products do. They all do this. So if you do want kind of a shortcut to have this done. So here's the ad, and then I'll show you the lifetime. So this campaign has generated 2,327 leads at $3.14 a lead. And here's the ad. It's very simple. It just offers the list of homes priced from mid 200s to 17 million. It's got a little scrolling image. This video is just built inside of Facebook. They have like a video creation tool as you build your ad. And then this is the form that gets filled out. First name, last name, email, and phone. And this is why I have so many phone numbers on it. Because it's pre-filled. It's not blank like this. It's pre-filled, and then the person clicks next, and we get the phone number, and then we can send the auto text. So Catherine, I just answered your question. Yes, it's a lead. It's a form inside of Facebook. They don't have to visit the site before we get the info. And that's why, like Property Boost, for example, that's kind of our flagship lead gen product. You guys should definitely try that. It works great, but it works the same way. It's the same form. And you'll occasionally get people who say, well, I didn't even give you my phone number, right? They don't remember that they did it, or they did it so fast on mobile, they didn't even see. They're just hitting next to get to the listing info. So just be mindful of that. And if they say that to you, oh no, I got it from, you just clicked over from Facebook, and I got it when you did that. You can explain how you got it, but that's what happens. But usually it's the phone number that Facebook has on file that they gave us, so it's pretty accurate. And that's why we can get such high rates of response. So if I go into business analytics here, and I look at the source performance for the last 6 months on that campaign, just the Facebook lead ad, you could see, I got to update this to 6 months. 551 new leads, 274 have moved to active status, meaning there was some kind of conversation with them, for 33%. And don't go by these numbers, because these are all agent reported, and they're not very they're not accurate. But this number is accurate because the system automatically moves them to active when they reply based on the behavioral automations. I'm over here in marketing, guys. You can see when a new lead or prospect responds, move to active. That's how I know that's so. Anytime we get a text back, it moves to active. So the last two questions, John and Catherine. So the A to Z of how to do this is in the next level. So if I go to all course lessons, growth system builder. So we show, Facebook ads, how-tos, and Google. You can skip to that section. And also there's the Waterfront Homes growth system build, the very thing that I just showed you, I actually built it out live as the training right here. So it shows step-by-step how to do it. And, creating the conversation starting smart campaign, it's all in there. So Aaron is asking, how do I get the waterfront? If it's not mapping over, try a keyword. Most MLSs have it. But if it doesn't, yeah, try using the keyword. And you can always run your search. If it's not in the squeeze link section, you can just go to your site and run the search too. Run it from the front. It's like more options here. As far as I knew, everybody has this stuff. So, and if not, ask a support team. It's possible they can map it over for you. So that's how I got it. It's ehomes.com. Let's see. Take a look. Good domain. So let's do a search. Where are we in the world? Looks like there's a mountain. It doesn't look as flat as Florida. Let's see. So right here on it, so you see when I did an advanced search under general options, I can check off waterfront. And you should be able to do that from when you're building your squeeze link. Now, maybe you're saying, hey, like if I search this, nothing's going to come up. That could be an issue. Let's see. So we're in LA, right? I've never been to LA. Are there, sorry for not knowing, are there waterfront homes in LA? San Diego should, right? So Let me hit apply. So yeah, they came up. And then you can take this link, because if you're building a landing page or you're doing a Facebook lead format, you don't really need to use the squeeze link builder. You can just copy and paste this link, because this is where they end up afterwards. So you don't really need to worry about that. Water can be a pond. Yeah, we get that here too. So one way that I get around that here is using the map search and drawing on the map. So you know, this way you're definitely getting what people have in mind as waterfront, because we'll get condo complexes that have like a moat in the middle. That'll show up as waterfront. So what you might do is you might click more options here. Oops. Man, I haven't done this in a while. I think I need to go to the map, right? And then I can click the draw like this. And then kind of like I would pick along the beach like that. So, and then build my list that way. You can also you could do this and say, I've done this in the past, within a 5-minute drive to the beach is another cool niche. So homes in Pinellas County within 5-minute drive to the beach. That's actually a pretty good niche. I might work that one, because there is stuff like St. Pete is just awesome. You should all move here, but you can pretty much from anywhere be at water in 13 minutes or less, 10 minutes or less. You should all move here. Drive my property values up. All right. I think we're good for today, guys. I'm getting a little nuts. Hopefully I answered most of your questions. A lot of this is covered in our past webinars, insiderealestate.com/webinars. I know I fire hosed you today, sort of intentional, but just remember the framework is the important thing, like the actual steps in the slides here. And then you can work backwards from there and fill in the blanks. And you're not going to be able to do this in an hour like I can at this point, right? Because I've been working on this exclusively for like 10 years, this sort of stuff, but you can piece it together. If you can give it maybe an hour a day for a couple of weeks, I think you'll be happy with the results. And then if you need any help at all, just hop on these sessions or just go to the Facebook group and say, hey, trying to build a landing page. Here's the landing page, right? Drop the link. Please roast me. Give me a critique and people will help you. So cool. All right. So thank you everybody for watching. And then, yeah, Patricia, 100+ month ad spend for Google ad. I started $10 a day, but you can always turn that on and off. So you could do 5, but 10 is usually what you need to generate like one lead. One lead on Google is going to be like between, at the very low end, like $7 or $8, and at the high end about 20. So you want to spend about 10 a day to get one lead a day. All right, guys, the replay will be on YouTube shortly, and we'll see you next Monday for the next episode in this